All right. So first of all, I'll just go to the side and go for the billing dashboard, and okay. So 64 cents incurred till now, not bad. Uh, and that all. And what services you were billed? So I'll just go for bill 28 cents. It emerges from simple storage. Okay, so that detail we should just check and investigate. Like, but there was a cross-region replication created, and I didn't charge for that. Well, it's free here, so that's why. Okay. Now we'll go for the VPC, which is
So please make sure that recording has started.
it's recording. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder, and let's go ahead. So, okay, guys, before going to VPC, there is one lab for Active Directory that was due for EC2 instances. So I'll just quickly, not quickly, I mean, it's a kind of a long one, but important, obviously, and part of the exam objective as well. So I'll be explaining about that before we go to VPC, and that is Active Directory on AWS. And that is obviously a separate service, uh, but why do you use it? What is it? Why do you use it? And how we will be using that in our lab. So Active Directory on AWS will be used with the EC2 instances. And just to show how the Active Directory really works. So we're going to talk about Active Directory first, and then on AWS also it works. Microsoft Active Directory, that is. So directory services of all types AWS offers, but it's Microsoft Active Directory. And let's talk about Active Directory, then on how AWS offer directory services. And then let's install Active Directory, which is Microsoft Active Directory on AWS, and connect it to an EC2 and connect an EC2 instance to it for authentication, authorization, and accounting. So that's the idea behind it. So this lab was left, and I was thinking that we need to start it before any next major topic. So next major topic is VPC. Before that, let's finish this. So if we go back to the drawing board, when we use, suppose there's a branch here, drawn to a branch. Now, Active Directory is pretty old, and plus I think it was used in 2000. So year 2000 or 2001. Now, suppose you have a Toronto branch here, and you have maybe 10,000 10K users, and excuse me, lots of applications, and lots of servers with you know many lots of servers and roles deployed. Now, Active Directory will be offering authentication, authorization, and accounting. So when we deploy a machine with Active Microsoft Active Directory, that is, so it offers authentication, and accountingization. Oh no, it's not zation. Auditing. Now that is also it offers directory services, so we can create here users and groups and also applications. Well, also inventory, central management and inventory, right? In century inventory, um, Windows client machines, client side OSs like Windows 7, 10, 11, right, etc., and connect to it and get authentication. So it's offering central security, central management for Microsoft networks. Now, suppose we have all this here. So we have a lot of physical. It used to be physical servers, then now it's always virtual machines, either on VMware environment or um, the Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V environments. So the first machine would be Windows OS and with the directory installed on it, so it could centrally manage, authenticate, authorize all the users and app machines there, and also offer inventory and central security. So Windows OS and Active Directory here. The next would be file server, right? So file server here, that is saving all the files and OS, and then so on. Print server, where the printer drivers are added, and web server OS, so all the web local intranet uh, web services are available for all the users, and so on. Database servers, suppose, and other servers. So these are typical all the machines or servers there that are available in environment, but centrally just to manage them, to secure them, we use Active Directory for that. So we can create all the users and join all the machines there. So this is on premises available for all the companies when they create local networks. So obviously they would have majority of the companies would have Microsoft Active Directory to centrally manage, authenticate all the users, authorize all the users to use this printer, that application, not this application, not that printer, suppose. But what about this in AWS or Azure? So Azure obviously is Microsoft's product. So Active Directory or Azure Active Directory will obviously be part of that because you have to centrally still authenticate everyone that is this our user, is this a correct password, right? So you have to, when you create groups, so you create there. So obviously Microsoft Azure Cloud Service Provider, CSP, will have that. But what about AWS? Now, many companies who are getting services from AWS, because AWS is still the biggest, still has the biggest market share, and Microsoft is really filling up that gap fast. But AWS, in terms of its reliability and although it's expensive, a bit more expensive than Microsoft Azure, its services, overall it's more reliable in terms of high availability, scalability, protection, least amount of downtime. So all these uh, that makes AWS still the first choice of Fortune 500 companies or the top 500 companies in the world. Now, if AWS offers pretty much every type of service to the companies, how about directory services? So directory services will be also offered by AWS, is offered, not will be. And obviously, with directory services, AWS says that, okay, I will be creating, if you need directory services where you want to create users and passwords, and you want to create groups, suppose sales department groups with all the sales employees inside, the marketing department groups with all marketing employees inside. You want to authenticate VMs, virtual machines, applications, um, and applications. So it's not really a lot complicated than what AWS offers in terms of directory services. It pretty much covers what directory services are supposed to cover. So suppose your company created an app and your app got viral. So maybe a lot of there are 1 million users in few months or years. You got now those 1 million users need to be authenticated from somewhere. So you can attach this app to the directory services, and all the users, when the users connect through cell phone or tablet or through on the laptop uh, to that app and try to create a username password. So username password actually gets created in the directory services. And when the user logs into the app, so first username password is confirmed from directory services, and then it says, yes, that's the correct username password. So the user logs in from app. So you can connect your apps and games or anything that requires authentication or sites. Then you will need some kind of directory services, either Microsoft Active Directory services, which are famous, obviously mainstream. Then there are many other directory services as well that does offer that, okay, you can create as many users and groups there, and then we will help you authenticate those users and groups, and all the other information that you want to put about the users, you can put in the directory services. So we can connect apps there as well. We're going to see that how many types of directory services AWS offers, and then how to install then Active Directory to the brand, that being the most famous. But for app, it's not compulsory. You can have any other directory services as well. For big applications, you want to use Microsoft SQL Server and you are on AWS, you would want some Microsoft authentication system to really take care of the authentication, authorization, security of your databases, SQL databases, Microsoft. So then you can use Microsoft Active Directory. Suppose you're creating virtual machines, and those virtual machines, the users will be logging into the virtual machines and using applications. Suppose these virtual machines have Windows OS, obviously then only you can use Active Directory, not for Linux OS. Then you have some Windows or Microsoft applications that also suppose databases, Microsoft SQL Server databases, or any other application that requires to be connected to Microsoft Active Directory. So AWS then says that, okay, whatever your Microsoft products, suppose this company is in Toronto and this company decided to go for AWS cloud service providers. Then this company moved its machines to AWS, and those machines have Microsoft Windows operating system and also Microsoft applications. So once those machines are up there, where is the Active Directory that needs to give authentication and authorization to those operating system plus applications in the virtual machine? Then AWS says that yes, we do provide directory services as well, and yes, Microsoft Active Directory, yes, that is available. When we load or when we select, the company decides that, okay, we're going to be deploying Microsoft Active Directory on AWS. So what happens is in the background, so you click, and yeah, install. Okay, we are deploying Active Directory on AWS. So what happens is that it all in the background, two virtual machines are created by AWS, which AWS only handles. We don't get to see that. We just see the Active Directory interface or console or dashboard. We don't see the background machines or EC2 instances that AWS has created. So obviously AWS, whatever machines AWS would create or EC2 instances, it would have the Microsoft OS there, and it would have the Active Directory there, and we will just see the front end here. Suppose something happens with a virtual machine or EC2 instances, so AWS engineers will be handling that, or they will have backup of some kind, or remotely active. These are the active EC2 instances. There will be passive EC2 instances. Suppose these go down, so the other two will start working right away. That kind of high availability is responsibility of AWS. But against that, then they charge you also very nice charges. Not nice, but charges are a lot as well. But not very expensive as well. But the thing is, when we deploy Active Directory in AWS for authentication, authorization, auditing purposes, for inventory, for users and groups. So yes, we can do that by click, click, click. In the background, the machines get installed. So whatever Microsoft applications you deploy on AWS or start using that, or Windows OS and Microsoft applications you go for, so on AWS, then you most probably will need the directory services. So your application could be authenticated and authorized, and users and groups, whichever are created, will be authenticated and authorized by directory services. So this is what we need to check on AWS, and in order to check if it's really working, or if the machines are really connected to a directory service. So we're gonna install a directory service or Active Directory. Then we're going to install one EC2 instance, which will be Windows EC2 instance, and we will try to connect that EC2 instance with Windows inside to directory service. Just show that, okay, so this is one separate service the company will pay, and the EC2 instance service is a separate service that the company will pay. Two separate services will be communicating with each other. If that's a scenario, then you can use that for any other scenario. So let's go to AWS and then go to the directory services area and check out what it looks like there. Some suggestions. Just do this one. And so what we need to do is let's go to AWS and explore directory services. Let's install Microsoft Active Directory. Let's install an EC2 instance and connect to Microsoft Directory. All right. So I'll go back to our console here, and there's that charges. I'm just going to go to the services and then all services and view all services and management and governance. So there is it was in management. They didn't do drastic changes there, and that is this one. No, we already did that. Well, it was in management governance, but let me just check. So I'll just go for Control F and directory. that is directory service. Oh, okay, so that's in security, identity, and compliance. But its name is directory service. If you click that directory service here, so pretty simple interface here. And when we try to set up the directory service, let's go ahead and do that. So there's info here. So if I click that info, directory store information about users, groups, and devices, and administrators use them to manage access to information and resources. AWS Directory Service makes it easy to set up and run directories in the AWS cloud or connect your AWS resources with an existing on-premise or remote Active Directory as well. AWS Directory Service provides multiple directory choices for customers. So there will be choices here. We're going to be discussing those choices that other than Microsoft Active Directory, what other directory services AWS offers. Um, so let's go ahead. There's learn more here, and that just opens another page and which to choose. So there are different ways to go ahead, but Azure provides multiple ways. Yeah, we already talked about that. Directory services. So the AWS directory service for Microsoft Active Directory. Then there is AD connector. There is Simple AD, and then there is Amazon Cognito. So those are the directory services. We'll start the setup, and these will appear, and we're going to talk about these. That in what scenario you use which directory service. So that's a good read page as well. I'll just add it to this. And let's go back here. Oops, not this. It did not delete. Okay. Okay, it just changed the page. I'm just gonna go back this and then control link and a new tab. So these are the directory services we're gonna see. Let's check it out. In fact, let's drag it here. Okay, so I'm gonna click the setup directory, and it says that which one do you really want? AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory. AWS manages, which means they will start the EC2 instances in the background, and they will manage that. So we're going to I'll just put it in tab as well. And so with AWS Managed Microsoft AD, you can easily enable your Active Directory aware workload. So EC2 instances that we're going to be deploying, that's going to be Active Directory aware. They can connect to the Active Directory or other applications. And AWS resources to use managed actual Microsoft Active Directory in the AWS cloud. Workload examples could include Amazon EC2, Amazon RDS. RDS is relational database services. That's pretty much for databases, relational database services, or the databases that you can connect, custom .NET applications. So if the applications were connected with Microsoft .NET, like Visual Studio, Visual C languages, if applications were created, so they would also be taking benefit of or connect will be compatible with Active Directory and AWS Enterprise IT applications such as Amazon Workspaces. So Amazon Workspaces is Amazon service, but it is also compatible with Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory. So that's for Microsoft Active Directory. If you have applications, then there is Simple AD here, and Simple AD is a standalone managed directory that is powered by a Linux Samba Active Directory compatible server. So what is Linux Samba Active Directory compatible server? Well, basically, if we check that out, we suppose you have here Microsoft machines in your network, and then you also actually have the Linux machines in your network. So suppose these are Microsoft, and these are Linux machines or any of the flavors of Linux. And what happens is that if you want to share files and fold any files there between Linux and Microsoft environment, so there's a Samba uh, protocol slash application or utility that you use. So Samba you use specifically for communication between the two different worlds, Linux and Microsoft. Also, obviously, Linux can then read through the Microsoft Active Directory as well. This has been used. This has been there for a long time. Samba, and this is just to have the communication between the Linux and Microsoft different vendors products. So Simple AD is standalone managed directory that is powered by a Samba 4 Active Directory compatible server. It is available in two sizes, small up to 500 users, approximately 200 objects. What is an object? Object is you create one user, so this means you created one object. You created 2,000 users, it's 2,000 objects. So it could be anything, other things as well, any other entities like groups or, if permissions is considered a separate object, yes. And so anything that you create there, a separate entity is an object. So approximately 2,000 objects, including users, groups, and computers. Large and 5,000 users, supports up to 5,000 users, approximately 20,000 objects you can create there. So Simple AD is what's the purpose of that? Simple AD provides a subset of the features offered by AWS Managed Microsoft AD, including the ability to manage user accounts and group memberships, create and apply group policies, securely connect to Amazon EC2 instances, and provide Kerberos-based single sign-on SSO. Now, Kerberos is an authentication system that Active Directory has been using for quite some time, and other authentication systems also, but it is a ticket-based authentication system, and it's pretty secure. It's considered pretty secure when you are trying to know, oh, is this user a hacker or is this user belonging to our environment? So my recommendation would be, or I'll just share the links here, how how Kerberos really works. And I'll just give a quick Kerberos authentication explained. There was a micro video that was showing with the animation how Kerberos really works. I'll just pause this. Oh, it is paused. I'll just share that link and do see it in your free time. How Kerberos works, although it doesn't look like the one that I was looking for, but anyway, there are thousands of videos for that. So I'm just gonna go back here and in WhatsApp and in slide I'll share that. So in your free time you can check how Kerberos authentication system works.
Can you put this on a paint? No. No, yeah, this page.
Yeah, it's on WhatsApp and here now.
Also, I don't understand, the whole, picture of this server, Active Directory, and two virtual machine, which is created by Amazon. Why they are creating two virtual machine there?
So if one goes down, then the other one can keep the show running, or if
No,
there's too much traffic.
Active Directory.
So Active Directory, two virtual machines are there. The second would be an exact copy of the first one. Right? So this would be active, this would be passive, or both can be active-active. Active-active just means that both are actually, suppose you have 20,000 users here you've created. So both are actually providing those services. If a user, 10,000 users are getting authenticated, they are just logging in now. So their authentication request will go here. Then other 5,000 are connected also. So it's overwhelming for the first server. So the request will go to the other one because the other one is an exact copy of this one. Whatever goes on here gets replicated here as well. That's why there are two here. And if one goes down, the other one is also a copy of that. So it will still keep the show running until the other one comes back. So it's just availability that they have two machines. being offered there.
We cannot see it when once
No,
you
we cannot see
have
that.
migration.
AWS decided they will manage that. We just see the console.
What we will do in order to make this like a migration when we do migration?
No, so I haven't started the lab yet. So I will be showing that what we will be doing by clicking next. We will just simply select that next, finish, and in the background, machines will be created, handled by AWS. We will see the front end, just the console, the dashboard only. Okay. So yeah,
What we are doing here, I don't get it.
We're deploying Active Directories. So try to learn more about Active Directory in your free time and how it is used, and do some labs on that too. I have older courses there for Active Directory as well. That would be good that you do labs on that too. This question comes in Humber class as well, because Microsoft has actually stopped teaching about Active Directory as it was. It is still Azure Active Directory that is still in the cloud. But many Humber students also then ask that, okay, what is Active Directory? So then I have older courses that I've taught, MCSA, MCSE, that gives you a better idea. But what I explained was this. So that is what it does: authentication, authorization, accounting. That's what companies are interested in doing. That our users should be authenticated. Either our users or hackers. So Active Directory tells them. It also does inventory. So these are all the features that Active Directory offers. That's why it is important. That's why we're doing a lab for that, because it's an also exam objective, and companies do deploy Active Directory as well, obviously, because they want to authenticate, right? Authenticate
So we
means
are
username and
like
password. Yeah.
we are deploying all these servers into the AWS, like file
No, so
server,
we are deploying
web
only this
server,
guy. We
huh?
are only deploying. We are only deploying this guy.
Active
Active
Directory.
Directory. Yeah. This is a software. We're only deploying
So,
this. It will
mhm.
do this: authentication, accounting, and
so,
auditing.
so is this installed in a server? Active Directory.
So this, when we deploy this, because
Mhm.
I haven't started the lab, so that's why you're confused that how will we be doing. So explaining the concept first, then I will show you how to deploy. When we deploy, you will understand, right? So try to understand just the concepts right now, and then I will go to the lab. But yes, when we deploy this software, so it will be deployed as as an application, and whatever it is being deployed on will be hidden to us. That's how AWS decides to do this task. When we deploy, then you will know how to deploy, right? So, okay. So here, yeah, we were talking about Azure AD. That we were going to the setup, and then we were talking about Simple AD. And Simple AD is just we're going to be installing this guy, right? But we need to understand this as well. What are those options then? Then in the last, we will be deploying this. And so what goes on here is, and whatever terminology I'm talking about, obviously you should know that. So try to do a lot of homework after the class or before the class as well. Here, however, note that Simple AD does not support features such as multi-factor authentication, trust relationships with other domains, Active Directory Administrative Center, social support, Active Directory Recycle Bin. So these are all the features of Microsoft's Active Directory offers: authentication, authorization, and accounting, right? So, and group managed services, accounts, and schema extension. So the thing is, Simple AD, as the word says, is just a subset of features offered by AWS managed software. So you want some part of Active Directory, Microsoft Directory to work for your applications, but you don't want all the features of Active Directory. Then you go for Simple Active Directory. Right? So that's the purpose of this. And for any scenario, you will go for that. Then there's AD connector here as well. AD connector is a proxy for redirecting directory requests to your existing Microsoft Active Directory without caching any information in the cloud. So AD connector, just connecting Active Directory, right? So AD connector comes in two sizes, small and large. A small AD connector is, so I'm just gonna go for this page as well. What is AD connector? And I hope that well to create a diagram. AD connector is a directory gateway. That would be the main way, and then I'll explain that with the diagram. So AD connector is a directory gateway with which you can redirect directory requests to your own premises Active Directory without caching any information in the cloud. AD connector comes in two sizes. You can spread application load across multiple AD connectors to scale to your performance needs. So what happens here in AD connector, as the word says connector, obviously, it could be the previous diagram as well, which is that you have a branch and have Active Directory in your branch, which is authenticating thousands of users, right? Already it's providing central security, central authorization. Now you want to create an AD connector. So this means that you have deployed, suppose Microsoft Active Directory here, Active Directory here, right? On AWS. And then you also have Active Directory here as well, right? So on-prem A, right? So this means that if you have thousands of users here as well, maybe 20,000 users, 20K users here, suppose. So in that case, those users are logging in. There are hundreds of applications that a big company has purchased. So all the application related authentication and authorization requests are going to Active Directory that is on AWS. But then you decided, why don't I just create a connector between this Active Directory and that Active Directory, right? So what happens is that the load can be also distributed for the authentication, authorization requests, and auditing requests, and any inventory requests. So whichever requests are connecting, suppose 5,000 users want to connect to this application, or one or two applications, or databases, or accounting application is connected to Active Directory. So the user's authentication request will go here that, hey, are these 5,000 users our users? Hey, Active Directory, do you have the passwords for these users? And Active Directory will confirm, oh, yes, John, password. Yeah, this is the correct password. Oh, Bob, password, correct password. So it will go through this Active Directory will go through all the requests, and 5,000 users will be connecting to this application. Suppose 15,000 users also want to connect now, and this is overwhelming. A lot of requests coming to this Active Directory. If you have the AD connector, then it will send many of the requests here as well. Hey, because all the 20,000, suppose there are 20,000 users in your company, and 20,000 users that information has been synchronized uh, between these two Active Directories, right? So you have, suppose, created 20,000 users here. Then you send the copy of this information here as well. Hey, these are the username passwords of these users. And if the users want to log in and their username password confirmation request comes and you want to confirm, so you also have the information about these users, credentials, you go and check. And if you're overwhelmed, then send that information to me as well. We will both check username, password, and what authorizations they have. Some users may be admins here, and few users would be admin here, and all other users will have lower permissions on this application to make any changes, right? You will also check not only authentication of those users, that are these even our users, or are they hackers posing to be our users, and then what authorization requests they have. Are they admins here, or are they normally our authorization is handled from within application as well for few applications. But the main thing is that AD connector can actually make a bridge between other Active Directories, so they can share their load between among each other, so none of the users request for logging in rejected because Active Directory cannot take that many requests. If it's a big company and you have already on-premises Active Directory already there, then you can do that too. In that scenario, you would go for AD connector, and obviously, as they say, this is for large organizations. And then there is Amazon Cognito, user pools. That's a totally different, scenario that can be handled by other, Amazon Cognito. So AWS provides its own username password authentication service as well. With user pools, you can add user registration and sign in features to your apps. So that was that example where I was talking about Active Directory, which can also do that, but Amazon also provides a cheaper solution. Obviously, this will not be cheap. This is for corporates, big companies, right? Large organizations, Active Directory, that have been used by them, but maybe they want a separate solution. Then with user pools, you can add user registration and sign in features to your apps. Users can sign in with an email address, phone number, or username rather than use an external identity provider like Facebook or Google. So remember that when you suppose want to sign up for a new service or site, and it says that, oh, you can log in from your Google account as well to our site. So instead of that, you want users to sign up with their own username and password and phone number. They should put all the information there. So then you can uh, attach Amazon Cognito user pools to your that you have developed or your company has developed. Uh, so it says here you can also create custom registration fields and store that metadata in your user directory. So not only that, what is your name, password, city, but you can just ask many other questions as well in the form and add that whole form as the sign up. You're signing up the users. You can verify email addresses and phone numbers, recover passwords, and enable multi-factor authentication with just a few lines of code. So when suppose your company is developing an app or it's a game or maybe it's Angry Birds. I think everyone has played that game. So Angry Birds, if the developers suppose were creating that at that time, so they wanted, we don't know how many users will like that. It went terribly viral, like so many millions of users are playing that game, right? So in the start, they would have connected to some kind of authentication system that when the user download the game, they have to put their username, password to sign up, right? To sign up first, they give more information. So that those users would be connected to Amazon Cognito user pool. So suppose the app was getting created and they wanted to add some kind of authentication system that can scale, right? So in that case, so suppose uh, this game, I hope I'm not breaking any copyright rules. So suppose the Angry Bird game was being developed and they are actually anticipating that it might get viral and it will get maybe millions of users. So developers needed an authentication system that can take millions of users, that can scale up to millions of users, right? It's not like, oh, it's 1 million users already, I cannot take it anymore, the system crashes and nobody can log in now. So obviously AWS and Azure, Google Cloud, even IBM Cloud and Alibaba Cloud from China, all those clouds have huge amount of bandwidth and all kind of resources, big data centers. So that can take authentication system that can take millions, that can to scale up to millions of users. And if it increases to more than that, it will say that, hey, keep them coming. I have so much capacity. Can scale up to millions of users. So if they wanted that, so then they can connect to AWS. So suppose Angry Bird team connected to AWS. and then they wanted all the user information and city, country, and what kind of games you like, and all kinds of other custom questions they wanted the users to fill when they're signing up. And then there would be millions of users, so they will be connecting again and again and again. And suppose the users are reaching certain levels, level 1 pass, level 2 pass, level 3. So all this information for millions of users be changing constantly, maybe per second. From all the planet Earth, users are connecting to this app and playing. So it's gonna really scale. It's gonna really add a lot of information. So can AWS offer an authentication solution, authorization solution that really scales up to millions and millions of users? So that's what AWS says that yes, bring it on. You got an app, connect to us, and you want we will authenticate. We will have a huge pool of users with all the information that you want. We will keep them, and if it changes, we're going to change that, and users will have no effect on that, or performance will there will be no latency, there will be no disruption, and users will not be kicked out, or the service is not available. Nothing will happen. You just connect and then forget. And if your app goes viral, we'll take care of the whole thing. So that's what Amazon says. But the developers have to then connect to this service, and they will have to write some code that the application will redirect all the users to Amazon Cognito user pools for their authentication and all other information regarding that, right? So it just says that all this, they can authenticate from email address or even cell phone number, and multi-factor authentication is also supported. That's pretty cool. And there's so many apps being written across the planet, so they would definitely need this kind of service. Obviously, Microsoft Azure also offers these services, and Google Cloud also offers these services. So we're gonna stick to. Mhm.
Is
So
this
we're gonna stick.
service is
Yep.
the developer only, Cognito?
So it is for apps, and apps are developed by developers. So yes, mainly developers will be handling that here because they need to connect their app that they're developing to this authentication system. So if and they say that you can just write certain code, and that then you can just simply connect your
So
new app to this authentication system.
they connect in a running mode.
Well, that is obviously not the case. When you're developing an application, you're always testing. At that time, before putting it to commercial use, they will first test this solution, they will connect it, and they will log in with test users. And obviously, then it starts working, then they will put their app commercial. So they will run, they will stop, run again. So, yep, if you're a developer, then you would know that. So, yeah. But developers can use this authentication system as well. That's what we need to know. So I'm going to go back to what we were here for, and that is AWS Managed Microsoft Active Directory. So I'm going to click next, but for any other scenarios, you can have these other directory services as well. We're going to stick to the first one, and we're going to click next. And then it says that how big is your environment in terms of how many objects you will be creating in your environment. So suppose it's a small company or medium company, maybe few thousand users there. So you can go for standard edition, best for small to medium sized businesses, 1 GB storage for directory objects. And how many objects can come here? It's 30,000 objects can be, and again, it's users, groups, machines, right? So it used $86 per month, and includes or 0.1200 cents per hour, includes 2 domain controllers, which are machines with Windows operating system and Active Directory installed on them. is called a domain controller. So two machines with Active Directory will be deployed, and $43 per month for each additional machine with Active Directory. Obviously, these machines will be handled by AWS. But if you're a large organization, then $38 per month. For large organizations, this would be still peanuts, nothing much. They may be earning millions and millions per month. So this is $288 per month. Includes two domain controllers and $144 per month for each additional domain controller. So that's for large or small. So we're going to stick to small, standard edition. And then it says that, oh, you want to give some name to your Active Directory. What are you connected? You can give a company name there as well, a fully qualified domain name. So it could be something dot something that you can give. So suppose it's Bitcoin dot Toronto. You can just give any name there for the company. Suppose you're dealing with Bitcoins there, and you're in Toronto. So or dot local or anything you want to give. Directory NetBIOS name optional. A short identifier for your domain. Domain is network or Microsoft Central Network where this Active Directory is part of, and it's connecting all the users and machines and offering central management and central security with them. So if you do not specify a NetBIOS name, it will default to the first part of your directory name, which is Bitcoin. So yeah, just to identify what is it. So it's gonna give that name. Directory description optional. This is just you can describe that. Okay, this is our company domain, or company directory name, and all machines they want to connect, they will have to know that what's the name of the directory, and then they will be able to connect. Then admin password. So I'll go for class password here. Small abc, capital ABC, shape 123, shape 123, and small abc, capital ABC, shape 123, shape 123, right? And so not much on this page, just standard addition, and it's gonna have two machines there, background getting installed, and yeah, the admin password that we must not forget. I'm gonna click next here. Then it says that which VPC do you want to? It's not do you. You have. Oh, well, it is do you. So there's a VPC, virtual private cloud or private network within which we are playing around. We are creating EC2 instances. We are creating S3 buckets, right? We're doing anything. So you want to create your own VPC. That's an upcoming topic. Or you want to create inside the VPC that is provided by AWS. So we say that, okay, it's the VPC that was provided when we create the account and the subscription. So with default VPC, we also say that. We stick to that. Let's say subnets. So how many subnets do you want these machines to be on? And it says that at least two subnets need to be figured. So that's very good. They're creating two machines and they are on two separate availability zones, right? So subnet, these are two separate availability zones. So if there's an outage on one availability zone, the machine, if both machines are on the same availability zone, obviously that will be not a good idea. So if there's an outage on availability zone level, both machines will be gone and your directory services will be not available here. So one machine would be on one availability zone, the other machine would be on the other availability zone. It's a good idea. And just for organization purpose, I'll just go for AB. Otherwise, selecting anything else is also pretty much the same. B. And then, or you can create new subnet as well if you want. But yeah, we're going to be talking about VPC soon. So then we'll know that how to create VPC and how to create subnets and everything. I click next here. And this is pretty much the summary, but it's going to be giving us some more information regarding this, the DNS or the IPs of the DNS it will be giving us. So it's going to take some time for it to fully deploy. So that's it. It's pretty much the summary here, and it's Amazon. So guys, one more thing is that availability zone. Just like in S3 buckets, we know that. For example, I have EC2 instance in availability zone 1A. If I create the volume or the disk on 1B, so the disk in 1B cannot connect to the EC2 instance in 1A. So same thing is there, that we will be creating EC2 instance. It should be within these two subnets, but when we tested it with the third subnet, the machine still connected because it was part of the same subscription or same account or same company, right? Better to, we don't know when it'll just change the rules, but better to create the EC2 instance in either US East 1A or 1B, so it could easily connect to the Active Directory services. So I'm just going to start that, click create directory, because it's going to take time to create it as well. And it's creating, it's still ting, and it is TID, then we will be able to do something. So I'm going to go inside the directory ID just to see the progress. And what I would be interested to know is are the DNS server IPs that my machine needs to know. So the plan here is that we have the directory service in our AWS cloud. So we have the AWS cloud here, and inside there is a directory service. Directory service. We went to the directory service, right, in the security category, and then we went for AWS. We deployed Microsoft Active Directory. We deployed Microsoft Active Directory. Now this Active Directory has it's deployed on one US East 1A, US East 1A, so 1A availability zone, and 1B, right? And then so these are the two availability zones it is deployed on. I would want to know also the DNS IP for 1A and 1B, because if the virtual machine wants to EC2 instances need to be connected to this directory service, then they need to be given the DNS IP of Active Directory that is being allotted to them in these availability zones. So once it is deployed, we will see that the DNS IP addresses are there. This is the EC2 instance we plan to deploy. And what are we trying to achieve here? EC2 instance will have, we have to connect some Microsoft product to this Active Directory to show that this is how we connect. We need a DNS information, and so this is a Microsoft product, or EC2 instance has Windows OS. Windows OS is a Microsoft product. It's an operating system. So how to connect some Microsoft product to Microsoft directory service. Right? So that's what we are trying to show here. Otherwise, what is Active Directory and how to install it, that is pretty much straightforward. But if we have to apply it to some product, so then what do you need to do on the product side, and what you need to know from the Active Directory side? So that would then complete this lab, that, okay, if one product is connected like that, then whatever you deploy, you have to go inside the product and check that how to reach out to that directory service to be given this AAA service. AAA is authentication, authorization, accounting, or auditing. So while the Active Directory is being installed, we can just then go for EC2 instance deployment. So the EC2 instance during the deployment also asks, hey, you want to connect to some Active Directory that you already have? Best scenario is to let the Active Directory fully installed, and then deploy the EC2 instance, because when you're deploying the EC2 instance, it asks that, hey, do you have Active Directory? If we select yes, then it asks which one, and then whatever name we give, we can give that name. And then what happens is that EC2 instance then knows, or the AWS EC2 instance creation wizard knows that it needs to connect this Windows operating system to this Microsoft. So Microsoft Windows operating system to the Microsoft Active Directory. So the wizard knows that too when it's creating the virtual machine or EC2 instance. So one option is wait for the Active Directory to fully install, and then when we are creating EC2 instance, and during the options that we select to create an EC2 instance, we can select that, oh yeah, we have Active Directory and we connect to this particular Active Directory. And then when we deploy the EC2 instance, what we are actually expecting that this machine will, the term called, and Windows administrators know that if you have handled Windows before and Active Directory, join domain, this machine will join domain. Join domain just means that you have introduced this operating system to the Microsoft Active Directory, and Active Directory knows, oh, so you are under my command now, and your password is with me now, Active Directory. So this is called joining domain, and after that, this machine shows up in the directory service, and it offers authentication, authorization, pointing to the machine, and whichever user logs into that. It saves its password as well if the users are also created here. So anyway, that's what we're expecting. So first thing is that directory installed. If it's fully installed, we can start EC2 instance creation, and we will tell that during the creation, yes, we have an Active Directory, we'll attach it. Once the EC2 is created, when we log in remotely, we'll check that, is it joined to the domain automatically or not? If it is not, then we have to go and check the network interface card or NIC of this virtual machine, and we need to put in the preferred DNS, the DNS IP of the Active Directory, that whatever IP was provided by Active Directory, we need to put that and that IP here and preferred DNS. Once you put this Active Directory IP here in the preferred DNS, so the machine will look for name resolution to Active Directory. Hey, Active Directory, I'm this Windows OS and need to join you. So can I do that? It's my name, obviously. So yes, Active Directory will say, yeah, you have my DNS. Yes, you can join me. Okay, so that's the whole plan. And I'm going to check back here. The ting or tid, it is installing. If I go directories, it's still ting. And ting, I'll refresh that. And refresh. What does it say here? Oh, it doesn't say here. I have to go out and keep refreshing that. Still ting. Okay, so while this is going on, there's a hand raised.
So once the Active Directory is installed in this EC2 instance, then this will communicate with the backend 2 server of AWS, East 1 and East 2.
So what happens is this Active Directory will not install on this instance. It will only connect to this instance, right? So Active Directory is installing its own 2 instances right now. Active Directory instance 1, Active Directory instance 2. Those instances we cannot see because AWS engineers handle those, right? So directory services is installing and its own setup. Once it is installed, then we're going to create this EC2 instance, and we will only check how to connect to this Active Directory over the network. That's it. So this is a totally separate instance which has nothing to do with Active Directory when it is newly deployed. But then we're going to go inside and we're going to try to connect this instance to that directory. So these are both going to be friends after that. It's a separate setup. This is a separate setup. Otherwise,
So can we create our own Active Directory without having to go with the manage?
yes,
Yeah.
nothing. It's all next, next, next. That's it. It's so simple setup that it doesn't even look like the Microsoft Active Directory in Microsoft Azure, or if you have deployed it on premises in Windows Server. So it's too simple. Yeah, it's not like that. But next, 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 finish, and we can't see the machines, and
So
it's pretty simple
I'm
interface.
looking at the cost. The cost is quite based on for the manage, right? So if I look
Yeah.
at the cost, is very high. So if I want to create my own Active Directory, right,
Mm.
on maybe I want to create my EC2 instance and I want to install Windows Active Directory on it, so that I'll be the one managing it, not AWS.
Yes,
Is that
if
possible?
you exactly, you're right. If you're doing this, that you install your own instance and you install
Exactly.
Active Directory here, yeah, you
Yes. Okay.
then you're avoiding that $188 per month
Okay.
for testing purpose. We're going to be deleting that at the end of the lab, so we don't worry about that. They're not going to charge us. It's going to be 1 month. It's going to go with if it keeps on running for 1 month, then they're going to charge this amount. Uh,
Okay.
if you delete it today, it's free, or even tomorrow. Better not tomorrow. So it's just today. But if you install it here, obviously that's just our own thing. But that's what we're not gonna do here. We're just gonna simply introduce this separate Windows OS to this separate directory service.
So this EC2 is just for to connect to the Active Directory,
Exactly, that's it.
and so this is and just for connecting purpose. And after
Yes.
connecting, you keep this, or you just
In
destroy
our
the
lab,
machine.
yeah, in our lab, we're gonna destroy after this. But in a production environment, suppose in the company you were,
Uh,
so this will be always, always, as long as the company decides to keep this setup. The company may have even 200 EC2 instances, which are all Windows. So the company would want to then have some kind of central security for all those Windows machines. So it will connect pretty much all those machines there. And maybe for 5 years, maybe for 10 years, they will stay connected. And Microsoft Active Directory will provide them central security with authentication, authorization, and accounting, right? So even Windows machines have passwords that keep changing with Active Directory, just to have their connectivity securely done. So they're always connected, and any user who wants to connect, Active Directory user who wants to log into this, its credentials are confirmed from Active Directory, and then that user can log into these machines. So it's
but
pretty central security.
it could be done in one machine. Like why they need three other EC2 instance
No,
for
no.
connection?
This is just for example. I've said that it's not just one in a production environment in a company, right?
Mhm.
Suppose I'm in a company. So company might have 200 machines here. May have. We're just pretending. Suppose they have 200 machines here. So they can connect to these, and then it will keep on running for 1 year or 2 year or 20 years. We don't know. But the thing is, in our case, we're just gonna be delete, connecting this machine just to show that yes, it connects, yay, and then we're gonna delete the whole chart. So here, um, it's still deploying, and yes, it's costly, but for companies, no. Suppose you don't have, suppose I go for directory service here, right? And set up directory, so simple AD. Suppose I have on-premises directory, so I can just create a connector here. Still, like I will create a directory here, and then create a connector. We talked about the connector and everything. Anyway, I'm just gonna go back to this. I was gonna show that to talk about that scenario, but we already talked about it. What AD connector is used for. that you have Active Directory here and in the on-premises, then you can connect both. But now it's being deployed. It's going to take some time because there are two machines in the background. AWS engineers are busy installing for us. North Virginia here.
I
While this,
I have a
yeah.
question.
Mhm.
Is the Lambda is not used at this moment to do
No,
the installation in?
no, Lambda has nothing to do with this. Lambda is a separate service where if you have developed a code, you have a huge lines of codes there, you throw the code there and it just runs that code, right? So suppose that code has uh, Microsoft application. Because of that code, Microsoft application is getting created. Maybe then you can connect that Microsoft application to this Active Directory. That's the only link. Just like a separate machine we are connecting this diagram. This is a machine that is Microsoft Windows. So suppose you create in Lambda code, and that code actually builds a Microsoft application. So that Microsoft application would need some kind of central security. So that resulting application can be connected to directory services. But Lambda itself, no, has nothing to do with that. So while this is going on, refresh, it's still ting, and
How
it's
long
not.
it takes to for creating?
I think it's 30 to 40 minutes, and we can,
They install Active Directory on both machine automatically.
which we have no access to. So yeah, but that's what
So
is happening in the background.
okay. It becomes a daemon controller right after the installation.
Yes. So if it says created, then yes, the machines in the background are set up and we are good to start doing whatever we want to do. Multi-region not applicable. And yeah, so DNS information once it's available. So what we can do is we can actually save time and create a EC2 instance. In fact, there could be two scenarios here. One scenario is that we can create one instance where Active Directory is not there yet. And that is the scenario where suppose the company already had so many instances there. Suppose a company has 4 instances here, right? 3 instances already there, and the Active Directory was not there. But then the company decided, hey, why don't we why don't we install Active Directory and connect these instances to Active Directory? And then once the Active Directory is installed, the company says, okay, the next machine that we're going to install, we're going to just, during the installation, we're going to mention that now we have an Active Directory. So please connect this EC2 instance to an Active Directory. So what we can do is we can create one EC2 instance now while the directory service is not there. And then we will connect this EC2 instance to the directory service. And then we'll create another EC2 instance once directory service is installed fully, Active Directory is installed fully. And then we're going to create another instance and we're going to actually put in the wizard that, yes, we have an Active Directory, please connect to it, right? So now I'm going to create one EC2 instance and I'm not going to tell that EC2 instance wizard that we have an Active Directory. So we're pretending that we have one EC2 instance that was already existing one or was already there before we deployed Active Directory, right? How to connect that one? So the procedure would be different. So I'm just going to quickly, just to save some time and not just wait and staring or looking at the ice melting. So I'll go for, click here and make a duplicate tab and go to EC2. So it should be very familiar now. I've done all the labs here. So I'm going to create one instance quickly here, launch instance, and I'll call it armor-vm01. And I don't want the image. Okay, I'll just go for Microsoft here. And other than that, verified, T2 eligible, and instance type is T2 micro, obviously. Key pair, I'll just create a new key pair here and go for KP 11 March 2023. And just create key pair, and it says downloaded that. Then we go for not much. So the default network setting with the action from anywhere 000 and 389 port should be available to open. Is mentioning anywhere here 3389 port? No. I'll click edit here for network settings and quickly add. Yes, 3389 is there. Good. I'll just go further down. Yes, the drive is okay. And additional advanced details here I wanted to show domain join directory. Even maybe it's showing now. Oh, okay, used to. So it's not showing now because the directory services are not available, but that's where it shows if it is available. So yep, the rest of the settings I don't need. So I'll just simply create EC2 instance now. That is
you can select
sorry.
also delete the delete option.
Yeah, so now I have to separately go to the network card and delete and the disk. You're right. I forgot that. Thank you for reminding. But for the other next machine, I'll do that. So I'll just quickly create that. Well, it's just done, or it will be done soon. I'll just check the other one. Ting. Right. So on the other AC2 instance, sometimes during the ting, it does show the DNS IP addresses, unless they have changed that they're not going to show that. So then we are relying on the virtual machine. Once the active directory is created, then only create virtual machine. Well, normally they do show the DNS addresses. In fact, they're just chose to give much less information. So we're just gonna wait for it to be fully created. One machine is waiting for them to be, available. And let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's another good checking. You know that theory that if remember Active Directory behind the scene two machines are on 1A, 1B. I created by mistake this machine on 1E. So we can test that theory as well that, if it is separate availability zone than the Active Directory, then it's not going to connect. In the case of Active Directory, it did connect as well, unless they have changed that now. But the next machine that I will create after the creation of Active Directory, I will just put it on any one of those, 1A or 1B.
We did not select in advanced setting to connect to the join to the domain.
Because it's not there till now. It's still creating. Hasn't created yet. Right? So that's why.
So this third machine is in a different domain.
Yes. It's in a different region. Availability zone. Sorry, in a different availability zone.
So why we create this one? To check the connectivity with the Active Directory?
Yes. Can we connect a virtual machine or EC2 instance that is on a separate availability zone to an Active Directory that is on a separate availability zone? So we're going to check that. I think it's going to work still. But then the second virtual machine that we're going to create after the creation of Active Directory will be on the same availability zone as the Active Directory. So refresh. Okay, so while this is going on, I hope it does not confuse us if we start another topic And then when this is done, then we can switch back to it, and I'll go explain briefly what was going on, and then we can continue. In the
We
I
can
will
create VPC
yeah,
subnets.
that's what I was gonna discuss. So if everyone's okay with that, I can go with some talk about VPC, which is our next topic, while we wait. So is that okay? Nobody will be confused? Yes? No? Maybe? Is it a yes? Oh, Vijay says, okay, directory service is installed long back. Can you please close the window and open it? Oh, maybe this. Close the window and open. Oh, it's just done now. But I was refreshing a couple of times before. But yeah, that's oh okay. David says okay, but yeah, now it's done. So we're kind of still continuing with this lab. But
We
just yeah.
we can create the simple VPC, not
Oh, there's a complicated and simple one. No. When we start, we do a proper work, right? It's not like just click, click, click. No, it's ready now, so we don't need to go to VPC now. We will complete this now. Uh, okay, so here, so Vijay says that it was long installed already and it showed active. So for me, it installed just now, or maybe it was updated, but I was refreshing it, and refresh does show if it is done. Okay, guys, so that's great. Let's go ahead and I need to check. Yeah, so there's that information that I was expecting. I went inside the directory, and you can see here the two DNS IPs, and they're on these two availability zones. My machine is on 1E, so that will be interesting to know. Now I'm going to quickly create one more virtual machine, and this time I'm going to mention that I have a directory service here, and directory service should appear there as well. So I'm going to quickly create one more instance after Active Directory is deployed. Then I'm going to connect both. So I'm going to click launch instance again, and I'll go for come on, VM02 and Microsoft like that, and T2 Micro. Yeah, key pair. I'll go for existing one, and also network settings. So this is also 3389, but I need to also check the region or availability zone now. I'll go for network setting edit and subnet no preference. Now I have a preference, and that is 1A or 1B. So I'll just go for 1A. And yeah, automatic assign IP and launch wizard is okay. And there's that option that delete the network card. Well, I'm gonna be deleting that anyway. Other network card, so it's okay. That's it. RDP is there, 3389, we're good. And hard disk is good as well. And advanced details, this time we should be able to see the domain name here, join Active Directory, and yep, now we see that. So it's bitcoin.toronto. I'll just click this information as well. This domain join enables you to join your instance to a directory you've defined in AWS Directory Service, giving you a single sign-on and centralized management experience across a network of Windows and Linux instances. To join a domain, you must have an IAM role with the required permissions. Only active or impaired directories appear in the list. So this is active already. And if you select a directory to join at instance launch, Amazon EC2 creates an SSN document on your behalf that specifies the directory properties. Okay, so it just gives the full detail of yes, it will be joined. What we're expecting is that it will join the domain. I'll show you where to look for that. Yes, that's all we needed from here. Other than that, it does say that an IAM role will be needing. Well, do we EC2 full permissions? Okay, so this IAM role we had created at the start of the course. So I'm going to put that to do full provisions here. Other than that, we don't need anything. The computer radiation protection, no, we won't protect, stop protect. Nothing. We discussed all that so many times.
Why you wanna keep it in 1A?
Because we want to test still the other machine that it is on 1E, so will it connect or not? And 1A, this is just a best practice that wherever the other services that you want to connect, you put the first service there as well. So that would just be following best practice, but other one, we're just testing that if it is in the other availability zone, will it connect or not? This is how we should be doing. So that's what I'm doing. And K. So yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna click launch instance. Now I'm expecting this to be joined to the domain already, and I'll show you where to go and check this out when we connect to the EC2 instance. While this is going on, let's go to the first instance. I'm gonna go to instances here. First instance is this VM01. I'll just connect to it. Know that it is not joined to domain, but I want it to join to domain now. I have the DNS IP information on the other window, which I will apply there. So I'm just gonna connect to this machine now. And so select this and connect. And yeah, RDP client, using RDP session, download remote desktop file. And it is downloaded, but I need, so we know the drill here, get password, and where's the key pair, which is this, key pair, this is 11 March today, got it, and decrypt password, so that's our information for the first machine. Sometimes we lose that information, so in that case, I'll just put that. And so -VM01 and okay, quickly go. So although I have that downloaded file already, RDP and administrator, which we already know actually. All we need to actually copy was the password. Okay, so that's for the first machine. Let's quickly connect and okay, I'll be going to the that downloads. So my Explorer and go to downloads and then go to this connect and password. So the last thing I copied. So okay, go. Yes. So we're concentrating on first machine and I'll go to that area where we are supposed to check that is it joined to the domain or not. So some Microsoft product we need to connect to that directory. So how do we connect that? And that's what we're showing here. When zip loads. Okay. Forever. Okay, so where to check that is it joined to the domain or a work group? Work group means it's not connected to any central management authority. So I'll just quickly go to the yellow folder in this machine and go to this PC, select this PC, right click this PC, go to properties. So it is US East 1E. Okay, so here the information is shown. Actually, if I go to rename, no, device manager, no, advanced system. Advanced system settings. If we go to computer name, and so it is part of the work group right now. Because if it was joined the domain or we click the change, then it is not part of the domain, which means it's not connected to Active Directory. Is work group, which means it's not connected to anyone. It's just a standalone machine. So I need to connect it to the Bitcoin dot Toronto domain, and if I select this, then I need to connect to that. I need to put the directory name, which is bitcoin.toronto. Please connect to this Active Directory so machine will be secure, right? So if I go ahead and press OK, then it should not be able to find it, because I need to go to the network settings here, or I can just click here and open server manager, and basically I want to still go to the network settings. Man, should have just right clicked here. You want to go for the IP settings. Okay. So local server, it also shows the same thing. It's part of the work group, which means it's standalone. It's not connected to any central authority. We want to change that to domain. So I'm going to go to the Ethernet 2 settings, where it has received an IP from the local DHCP. I'll double click that and go to the IP settings of this machine, where we can change IP of this machine. I'm going to double click IPv4. So whatever IP it got here, I'm not touching that. And what IP it got? Let me show you. Its private IP address is 172.31.48.15. So if I click cancel and go here, details. So this is the IP it has already. What I need to extra add here is the DNS information. So right now the DNS server, which is all host names to IP addresses, right? 172.31.02. This is a DNS server that it's connecting to. What is the DNS server of our Active Directory? So 172.31.02. If I go to Active Directory here, DNS is 172.31.27 and 172.31.46. So is it the same? 172.31.27.46. This is 48. This is different gateway, different DHCP, different DNS server. So I want to tell this machine, hey, this machine, I'm changing your DNS server. I can put this one as well as that one, because I need to put this machine, connect this machine to that Active Directory. So I need to put the DNS server of that Active Directory here. Even though it is on 1E, whatever zone it should connect, as they've changed the rules. No, you have to create it in the same whatever zone. But anyway, so I'm just going to go for IPv4, and I'm changing the DNS setting here, that, hey, from now on, you're going to take instructions from, I name instructions from, any one of those DNS, which is controlled by this bitcoin.com Active Directory. So just go back there and it does. Okay. 27.107, while that's the DNS of the Active Directory, close. And does not implement right away, but still I'll just check that. Yay! It's asking for the authentication information, and oh, did I give a username and password while creating that? So I think it was admin, and this is the Active Directory credentials, not the machine credentials. So the password that I put there was the class password, this one, Mongo basic address 1 2 3. When I was creating Active Directory, it said that, but I think it was admin or administrator. As I remember, it was admin. So if I press OK and it confirms that password and comes back with this, okay, there you go. So welcome to the Bitcoin.Toronto domain. So this means that this machine is now connected to that Active Directory if this message comes, right? So that's good news. And that, well, just to show a small example of that's how you can connect an existing machine to an Active Directory. So now it shows domain as Bitcoin.Toronto. If I go here, maybe it has updated information. I'm going to refresh that. Now it from work group it changes to a domain as well. Okay. So that's an existing machine to connect to this Active Directory. If I minimize this, and what about that other machine? Did it just automatically connect it or not? So if I cancel from here, other machine is also up. I don't have to do all that if it already automatically connected, because during the wizard creation wizard we mentioned that there's an Active Directory. So I'll select that quickly and go there as well, and connect RDP. We go through the same stuff. This is the N02 password. Upload private file. Double click the file. Decrypt password. I just need that. And I'll go to the RDP file, documents, and this RDP file, VM02, and then start the connection process. Put that password from here to here. Okay. Something wrong. Administrator.
You wanna
ZE1.
save this password or?
No, actually, you're now logged into the domain, right? Should you not use a domain
Local.
account to log in?
We
Actually,
can
it
use.
shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah,
You should
it
still
shouldn't matter.
see.
Exactly. Just need to see that it's joined the domain, but if it does automatically, yes, you're right. Then admin is the main account there that we can log in. But yes, from here also, right, that we can try. So Monday or Sunday it's gonna start, load. And where I went before, so just to check if it's already part of the domain or not. Okay, so right. Okay. Sorry, it's in the computer or I'll just go down this way, and this I'm still in this machine, and like this now expand, and this PC and properties. So it should show me that it's joined to the domain already. Does it show here? No, it should. That's a script that should have that information as well. It doesn't show here, so I'll just go for advanced system settings and then computer name and oops and out. Nope. Just putting that there did not really join machine to the domain. About the IP settings, so I'll just seriously why this bar is not going away. No, it's not. So it's not joining the domain. So this means that the same way I will have to do that. I'll just check its IP settings if anything uh, was changed because I mentioned that I have a domain there. Nothing changed, so it has its own subnet. So just selecting that option of domain during the creation did not do anything. I remember that this was the same case before as well. that we selected that and it didn't really work, and we had to go through the whole manual process again just to join this machine to the domain as well. So we do know that what's the process now for joining to the domain. Just put that IP there and that's it. It's going to join. We don't need to really repeat the whole thing again. But just to prove that point that, okay, if we select that during the creation wizard, will it join to the domain? So no, it doesn't. You have to go through the process of providing the proper DNS, and it was in the same availability zone even second machine. The first machine was even different, but still it joined. You have to manually give the DNS information and then manually simply join the domain. So that's what we get from this, and this pretty much was the same case before as well, just to prove some points there. Now those are also good. If I go back to directory service, it's not really, if you've seen the other Active Directory, it's like long list of options after options after options. You can do a lot there, but here it's scale and share, create new share directory here, share the directory with other AWS accounts. Okay, so that's for just if you have other AWS accounts with separate credit card or same credit card, you want to share this directory service there as well. So that's pretty good. Suppose the other AWS account has hundreds of Microsoft products there, so they all want to connect to this directory service. So you don't have to really install Active Directory on all AWS accounts if you have different AWS accounts. Now, this also shows our two domain controllers in the background behind the scene domain controllers and the information about them. It is the subnet information only. If I go to subnet, excuse me, it's just the subnet information. If I go to instances, the ones that I deployed, only those are showing. The ones on which Active Directory is deployed is not showing, obviously, not supposed to be shown to us. Application management, if you have any Microsoft application, then you can connect to this Active Directory, the public endpoint URL where users in that directory can gain access to your AWS applications and to your AWS management console. Like it just says that you want to connect some application to this Active Directory as well, if it's compatible. So there are so many here applications, especially SQL servers, Oracle, MySQL, and AWS Management Console. Pretty much a lot of stuff here. Maintenance for Active Directory. If Active Directory is down for some reason, you can create alerts for that, create snapshot of those, and schema extensions. If I go to directories shared with me, so there are no other directories shared to this directory service. Also, setup cloud directory. So this is directory ID, applied schemas, status. So if I click the setup cloud directory, cloud directory is a high performance serverless hierarchical data store. So, when we talk about schema is just scheme of things, or suppose schema is about defining an object in Active Directories. Example of schema would be that suppose you're creating, there's a user, schema is talking about user. What will user do? It will log in, it will have password, it can log out, it can be deleted, and so many. It have username, it has name, company, all that information. So in schema, attributes are defined for an object. So you can create another object. Now Active Directory does not have mailbox, right? Mailbox, when you install Exchange Server, then mailbox object comes. But suppose you want to add something like that or something new, then you can add through schema another object and define that, okay, it will, in Active Directory, it will start using this. Suppose it's a hospital. So you say that, you can create doctor users or doctor user account. You want to customize it, and then there is a patient user account or nurse user account, and doctor user account will be like this. It will be logging in just like other users, but it will have this extra information inside, like doctor name and doctor password. So not password, just name. So you can define new schema here. Although this is just a user, this will not be a good example, but this is an example that you want to have some other entities, just like users and groups, machines. You can have mailbox and some other kind of entity that is a separate independent object created in an Active Directory to be used. Then you use schema for that. We don't need to really be here, create something, and already created schemas that define objects are already there, or upload new schema with some information. From now on, there will be this entity here. So, but it's pretty simple, simple Active Directory that shows here. I need to actually check more because applications can be connected here, and so if I go to the directory that we have deployed, it's not much here. So applications and other products can be connected to this. Or it could be, this directory services could be connected as per our discussion to an on-premises Active Directory, which actually shows you users and machines, and it shows a long list of stuff here, right? So simple Active Directory can be connected to fully functional, showing everything Active Directory as well. Then you can do even more. AWS does not go a long way to deploy pretty much everything because Microsoft already in Azure, the rival of AWS, Azure already has fully functioning and with huge amount of features of Azure Active Directory is already there. Amazon did not go that much to deploy the whole Active Directory and offer all the features here. That's somewhat different. So any company that has just AWS would then use this Active Directory because they really are Active Directory reliant company. So then they can deploy connect it with on-prem as well to use all other features of Active Directory.
One thing is in my mind, why we are joining 1A DNS? Why not
Why we're
using? Why not we are using the 1B?
So why are we not joining 1A EC2? Because the process is same. That's why I didn't go for that. I have to just put a DNS here as well, and then it will join. We know that now. So just repeating the process again while we are about to delete it. So it doesn't make
Is it
sense.
necessary to join the first one? The first
No,
IP?
just to show with the first DNS IP,
Yeah.
no, you can use the second DNS IP as well. They will both work.
For
So second
second
DNS
machine,
IP,
I can use the second IP?
yes, you can use for first and second machine first IP only. You can use second IP with both machines only as well, or you can use for one machine this and one machine that. So they both work together. Anyone works or both works as well. It's just redundancy. Suppose there are thousands of machines connected with this IP and it's overwhelming traffic, resolution traffic. So it will also be distributed among these other IP, this other IP as well. So better to production environment, better to add both IPs there, one preferred, one alternate. So if there's too much traffic going on with hundreds of machines or thousands of machines, then there will be two DNS servers here to do name resolution. So both are just each other's backup. They also actively work together as well.
They both are just like an ID, right? So the preferred would be the first one and the next was the second one, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and okay, guys, so this was it for the Active Directory Lab, Directory Services. So I'm just going to delete that and then we're going to start the VPC right now. So I'm just going to get rid of it. It's although it's not going to charge me unless they have changed something, which I don't know. So I'll be going for deletion of this directory service. I'm going to go to directories and action. It does take that much time to delete as well. Well, it used to, but for it says which directory you want to delete. I'm saying this directory. So, oh, that is something wrong. You're trying to delete directories. This operation cannot be undone. Please verify that you want to proceed by entering the. Oh, it's not this. Okay. And then I'll just go delete this, and it's deleting now. While I go to instances and delete them as and well. So that is terminate instance. And yeah, I need to check the network cards and everything. But yeah, while these are deleting, we'll leave it to, I'm disconnected now. This also, I'll visit back all this. Hopefully I remember. There's the network interface card at least, and the volumes. So that 1E machines, 1A, 1B, all network cards are there. And also volumes. I have to delete something in the volume. So I'll let the virtual machines EC2 instances first delete. So yeah, let's go for the VPC now. And VPC or virtual private cloud is your private network on public cloud, right? So click the your VPC here. So there's the no touch VPC. In fact, let's specifically right here, do not delete here, right? I'm just gonna edit name here for this VPC because by mistake it had been happening from students, and way back I deleted by mistake this one as well. Then I had to talk to support. Hey, where do I play now? Where do I create my machines and everything? Because the default VPC I deleted. This is where inside we are working right now. So do not. This is something you know can't be expressed enough. It has to be, because we're going to be creating VPCs here, and then we're going to be deleting those VPCs as well. And that's where we need to be very, very careful. Okay, that said, I'll go ahead and let's talk about the VPNC. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, or Amazon VPC, enables you to launch AWS resources into a virtual network that you've defined. Now, this virtual network closely resembles a traditional network that you'd operate in your own data center. The benefits of using the scalable infrastructure of AWS. So it's just a private network that you create in a public cloud, and whatever you want to do in a private network. Suppose you are in an office, you just created a new, got leased a new office building floor just for your network. So you have 200 machines there, with 10 machines, and you have a few switches there, Cisco switches, and then you connect the whole machines and start sharing files and printing. So that's your private network. That's what we can do in the cloud as well. The following features help you configure VPC. So there's a VPC, virtual private network, cloud, sorry, and VPC is a virtual network that closely resembles a traditional network that you'd operate in your data center. Okay. Subnet. A subnet is a range of addresses in your VPC. Subnet must reside in a single availability zone. One availability zone actually reflects a subnet. After you add subnets, you can deploy AWS resources in your VPC. And IP addressing, routing. So there are all the terminologies here. So I'll just add it as a good read, and then let's do a lab where all VPC components, or majority of the VPC components, will be used, so we could know then oh, that's how VPC and all its components really work. So I'll just add it as a good read here, and also Amazon Web Services. Okay, so now the plan is to use as many components and new technology, whatever comes our way, so we could understand each component and which component fits where and why are we using here, and how about using that same component in the production environment. So what's the best practices? Our plan here is to create a VPC, and that VPC will have obviously different tools and terminologies coming our way. So when we create a VPC or virtual private cloud, so what we need to do is VPC virtual private cloud. Here VPC and virtual private cloud. So you have to define a range, network range, that what kind of network would be there. So by default, there is 10.0.0/16 range there, which means that there are going to be 64,000 clients that can come in this network in terms of IP addresses, right? So Class A, Class B, Class C IP range. And we're going to be, and inside the VPC, we can have our subnets. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy actually two subnets here. One would be a public subnet, and one would be just to explore all the options, right? Public subnet, and its range would be 10.0.0.0/24. So only 254 machines can come there. And then we're going to also have a private subnet. So why public private? I'm going to give that reason as well. But private, so private subnet, and that would have the range 1 here. So subnet would be changed here. Now we will be deploying virtual machines, one virtual machine in public subnet and another virtual machine in the private subnet. And that public subnet virtual machine would be EC2 instance. Will have a public IP, with public IP, right? And public IP, and then there will be EC2 instance with a private IP. And yeah, I'll be explaining the logic of all this. Now, public IP and private IP instances will be deployed. Here, there will be an SG as well. And SG is a firewall. It works like a firewall. SG is a security group. And what SG does is it allows and blocks traffic to from the network. So suppose you don't want traffic coming from, suppose, my network. My public IP, suppose, is 64.53.89.1, or you just want me to connect to this virtual machine and no one else over the internet. So then you can tell this security group that my IP is this 64.74.129.38, suppose. So you have to tell this IP to the security group, and then you also have to define that. So what IP the traffic is coming from, and what port, means what kind of traffic are you allowing. So I want to remotely connect to this machine, obviously, through through 3389 port. So this means that I'll be opening this port, right? So that's what SG is all about. We have talked about that before as well. But in this scenario, we're going to be deploying this SG with 3389 port, and so we need to connect. And also, so this will be deployed here as well. Now, what's the idea behind making two subnets and then going for this setup? So the idea behind this is that we're going to connect from our laptop to this VPC, and from this VPC we need to connect to this particular subnet, and then from this particular subnet we need to connect to this EC2 instance. Now, no big deal here, because we're gonna open traffic for everyone. So open traffic for everyone means 0.0.0.0 traffic, which means that anyone can connect, right? Or we can define just my public IP in my case, and I can connect. So the thing is that we also need to do one more thing, and that is this machine will have public IP. So obviously, for the internet, anyone can connect, or I can connect, whoever knows the name password as the key pair, right? What about this private subnet? Private subnet will have private IP, which means you cannot connect over the internet to this machine. So we're gonna configure it in such a way that this subnet can only accept traffic from oops, wrong one here. This subnet can only accept traffic from public subnet. So private subnet will only accept traffic from public subnet, right? And in private subnet, there will be a private IP. If there is no public IP here, we cannot connect to this machine at all. And whichever subnet this subnet is connected to, this machine will connect to that subnet. So by default, when we create two subnets, there is a route table that gets created automatically. It's a route table. So route table simply makes sure that this subnet is connected with this subnet. So a route table gets created automatically when you create more than one subnet inside your virtual private cloud. And suppose I go for, within this virtual private cloud, suppose I go for third subnet, fourth subnet, fifth subnet. We can go up to 200 subnets, right? Maximum. And so this routing table automatically will be connected to all the subnets. In fact, it's going to be star topology, so all subnets will be connected to all subnets there. The thing is that we need to explore, oh, there's a route table here, right? And this means that this subnet already has a communication with the other subnet. I don't have to manually tell this subnet to connect to this subnet, although I can do that too. So these two guys are connected with each other. I'll just remove the other ones because we need to stick to our lab concept first. So here, once two subnets are created, routing table is there. So this means that because routing is enabled, the thing with routing is that if you have a separate IP range, obviously with routing you can still communicate with each other. Suppose there's no routing enabled between the two IP ranges, then they can communicate with each other. They're separate subnets, or they're separate IP ranges, right? Separate subnets. So yes, here routing is enabled by default. You want to remove it? Yes, you can remove that too. In fact, one more and other thing is that here we will be connecting from internet, right? So this is the Wild West here. So from internet, when we create our new VPC, what happens is that it's not automatically connected to internet. we have to actually create another route table that connects our VPC to internet. And we have to deploy a gateway for that. And that gateway is called Internet Gateway. So what will happen now is that we're going to go use of all this. So we will be deploying an Internet Gateway. And that Internet Gateway will be responsible for connecting this VPC internet. So this VPC connects to the route table, which we will manually have to create. Otherwise, suppose we don't create that route table ourselves. VPC is just a private VPC and has no communication with the outside world unless we manually create a route table and we manually actually create an internet gateway as well. And that internet gateway to the route table will connect internet to this VPC. So in its rival, AWS rival is Microsoft Azure, right? Microsoft Azure, when you create a VNet, so here it's VPC in AWS, it's VNet in Azure, Microsoft Azure. So when you create a VNet, it is automatically connected to internet. Here in AWS, when you create your own VPC, it's not connected automatically to internet. You have a privacy here right away as you start, but you need internet connection. You have to go this way. Internet gateway we're going to be deploying. We're going to deploy a route table, and we're going to tell internet gateway, hey, internet gateway, you need to connect to this route table. And then we're going to tell this route table, hey, route table, you need to connect to this internet gateway, and you need to connect to this VPC as well. So we have to define all these one by one to make this happen. So the end game is that once all this is successfully configured, then we will be connecting. Okay, so I'll just remove this line here. We will be connecting from here to, okay, yeah. So we will be connecting to the internet gateway, and from the internet gateway to the route table, from the route table to the VPC, and from VPC, we're going to connect to this public subnet and to the virtual machine from our laptop. But once we are inside the virtual machine, we will make a connection to this virtual machine because this virtual machine has no outside connectivity from anywhere because it does not have a public IP. So the only way this connection to this virtual machine is this subnet. So there's routing enabled already. So yes, these two guys can communicate with each other, but no one else. So we're gonna jump from this virtual machine to this virtual machine. If we are able to connect with this virtual machine, this means that our lab is good, right? And we're gonna, in the course of time, we're gonna learn all the terminologies and how to create all this one by one and connect with each other.
So
Then
you
we're gonna go
create
configuring and everything. Yeah.
you create a route table for private subnet also.
No, this is automatically created. This we need to create.
So we create only one route table
Yes.
and we define all these two EC2 instance in that route table.
Like we will tell the route table connect to which subnet. Route table does not connect with EC2, they connect with subnets.
We define their IP address or what we are
So
defining.
we simply select the subnet. So when we do that, obviously you will know that.
Okay.
O and K. So this is the information and okay. So what we will be doing now is let's start creating the first VPC. So we're gonna be creating later. We're gonna be creating another VPC, and we're gonna be exploring the peering, feature, which means so two VPCs cannot communicate with each other automatically. Now, two subnets within the VPC, yes, they can communicate automatically, but when you create another VPC or two or three more VPCs here, they have no automatic or default connection with each other. In case you want to let them to communicate with each other, then you create a connection between them. So that would be the next lab after we are done with this lab. Okay, so what we need to do if this is clear and suppose one question to you is that if
Can we
suppose
take a break?
we yeah
Can we take a
uh,
break for 10 minutes? Like in 2 hours, you get tired. Yeah.
no, I don't get tired, so yeah, it's okay. I, I know. Yeah, in 2 hours, definitely. It's a 4 hour class, so this is brutal not to have a break. You're right. So guys, yes, let's take 1 minute break here, and then another 10 minute break at 6:18 or 17, right? So yeah, 10 minute break now, then we come back. I'll just put that here. Five 23. All right, guys. So let's get going. So I'll just put that diagram here. And here. Okay. So the first VPC lab one, and let's go start creating that. So what we need to do is I'll just switch to this and need to create the first component, and that would be the VPC itself and the subnet. We're going to be creating two subnets there. We're going to rename them to this range, this name, and giving them separate range here as well. I'm going to confirm that the two subnets have a route table already showing there, and where does it show that? Okay, let's go back and to our environment here, and then we're going to go for okay, sorry, that's deleted, right? Fresh. Okay, deleted. I'll just go to the services here, and then we're going to all services, view all services, and we're going to go down to VPC is under the networking category, or just search for VPC here. And VPC dashboard, it still does show you a link to EC2 global view as well. Just globally where your EC2 instances are deployed, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're in the VPC, and we're gonna just try to go through the first lab. I'm just gonna click that create VPC here. Now, VPC is an isolated portion of the AWS cloud populated by AWS objects such as Amazon EC2 instances. A mouse over a resource to highlight the related resources. Okay. Anyway, this is good. It's showing, the whole process, introducing the new Create VPC experience. We've designed the new Create VPC experience to make it easier to use. Now you can visualize the resources that will be created and edit the name tag of individual resources, uncheck auto generate, and set each name tag in the visualizer directly. So let us know what you think. So yeah, this is something in preview, but that's pretty cool that whatever resources you want to create, just add your names here and then click finish and it's gonna work. Well, I have to check that, but right now, and especially we need to go manual because we need to understand and check all the options there. I'm just gonna go for VPC only right now, and VPC only should let me create a subnet, obviously. If I just go, yeah, first the VPC is created, then the subnet is created. In Microsoft Azure, VNet and subnet both get created together, but it's different here. So let's just VPC only. Now my name tag optional creates a tag with key of name and a value that you specify. So let's go for VPC. Suppose it's VPC 1, because later we're going to be creating VPC 2 as well. So an IPv4 CIDR classless inter-domain routing block IPv4 CIDR manual input. So we want to put manually the range for the VPC, or you want IP address allocation management to do that. So obviously we're going to put the range ourselves. It says here 10.0.0/24. It used to not let us put /24 for the VPC, and we had to always put /16. So I'm still gonna go ahead and try 10.0.0/16 and click anywhere else to check it out. Yep, we're good. And also, we're not using IPv6. And then there's tenancy. So we don't want to go for dedicated, which means the underlying hardware resources are only available to us, which is going to cost more but better performance inside the VPC. We're going to stick to the default, which is just an underlying shared resource, whatever networking and storage features are being used. It's going to be used by other AWS subscriptions as well. But we're going to stick to default here. Tags, thus name is VPC1, and project name, branch, department, sales. So you can add anything in the production environment. I'm going to click create VPC. Once the VPC is created, and then we can see here resource map new. So yeah, that's something as we create more stuff there. So it has that resource map as well, which is a pretty cool thing, but we'll be exploring that later. I'm going to go down on the left side, your VPC, and then below that is subnets. So I'm going to click the subnets here, and I do see here the default subnets. Just like that, default VPC is not supposed to be touched. So default subnets should not be touched. So if you expand that, you can already see what we put there on the default VPC is automatically showing here, do not touch. Suppose this is like this. Now we don't see that it's do not touch here. So it's going to be a bit painful, but let's just make sure that when we have a lot of subnets that this one don't get deleted. Do not touch. I'm just going to copy paste that to all other names. So that it gets mixed up and fun. And yeah, then you lose access to one whole availability zone. Right. So once that is put in here, now there's on the top right we see create subnet. It's going to go ahead and create 2 subnets. If it lets me create 2 in a row and in the other, no. Select a VPC, yes. The VPC that we want is VPC1. You can see that if the name is not there, then obviously from ID we cannot see that So anyway, but this is default, so we can differentiate and slash these do not touch. So VPC1, once we go to VCP1, then it says that, okay, you want to create a subnet. What's the name of the subnet? Our first subnet, according to our diagram, is public subnet. So I'm just gonna switch. I'm just gonna put it like dash subnet dash VPC dash one. VPC1 because later we're gonna be creating VPC2, then it's subnet one or public or private subnet, right? If we were to create public subnets as well, or more public subnets than public subnet 1, VPC1, we intend to just create one subnet. So VPC1, once that is done, we're going to go down there and availability zone. Just for organization purpose, I'm going to go for 1A. And yes, you have to give that range. So it's a private IP, so it's 10.0.0.0 slash 24. So 254 machines or 253 machines can come here. It does take actually, if I go there, 6 IP addresses are specify your subnet's IP address block in Slider format. For example, 10.0/24 IPv4 block sizes must be between /16 netmask and /28 netmask and can be the same as your VPC. And IPv6 Slider block must be a /64 Slider block. So that subnet would keep still 5 IPs to itself for management purposes, and the rest will be available for be given to the machines. Now, tags, we don't need to put tags, or you can put as many more tags just for adding more information. We do need to create subnet 2 as well, which will be private subnet. On the subnet level, one thing for sure, if I go to the diagram, we want any machine that will be created in the public subnet to have a public IP. And we want any machine that will be created in the private subnet to only have a private IP, but not public IP. So what happens, and we talked that before in the EC2 topic, that there will be a public, each virtual machine that you support, that it will have configured that it will have public IP. So public IP plus private IP is always given to each machine. And suppose you say that I don't want public IP, so at least private IP is always automatically given to the machine. Oh, did he write public again? So it's a private IP. Here public and private IP will be given, but here only private IP. We will make sure, and we have to manually do that, and I'll show you where. This is just going to have private IP. That's why it's not going to be accessible over the internet. This will be accessible over the internet. So I'm going to go back here, and there's no such setting here that says that do you want public IPs to be distributed in this subnet? But once we create the subnet, then it should be there option. I still want to create another subnet before I click create subnet, so I'm just going to click add new subnet, and then just like the naming convention used above, I'm going to copy that and go down to subnet 2 of 2 and change the public to private. Private subnet dash VPC1. Availability zone, I'll just go for 1B just for organization purpose, but also that it's going to be in another availability zone. So according to the diagram, now we have this in 1A. So this is on 1A availability zone or AZ, and this is on 1B. This is also something that we can put to test and prove that if subnets are on different availability zones, then route table will still work for them and machines will still communicate. Okay, availability zone 1A, 1B. And we need to give an IP range according to our plan here. So 10.0.0, oops, 10.0.0.1.0/24. So the octet is different, so it's another subnet, and that's it. No tags, and we got two subnets. So subnet 1 of 2 is this public subnet, this IP range, and on US East 1A, and 2 of 2 is a private subnet, this availability zone and this IP range. Now we can create that subnet. You can go up to 200 subnets. You can keep creating, or whenever you want, you can create more subnets there, right? Just gonna click create subnet. Once the subnets are created, then we need to go inside public subnet. That option that I was talking about, that public IP should be distributed within the subnet, and public IP should not be distributed in this private subnet. So we'll check that if that feature is in the subnet or not. Microsoft Azure, this is in the in the virtual machine level, that feature is available, but here normally it is in subnet level. So if I select this public subnet and actions, view details, edit subnet settings, the ACL, edit route table association, cider reservation. So it doesn't show much here, but if I select this subnet and go down here, details first of all, yep, it gives all the details here. I just wanted to check the setting where auto sign IPv6, so auto sign customer owned IPv4, and where's that setting for public IPs? Well, we're going to check when the EC2s are also installed, but normally on the subnet level, we do get that. I'm just going to go for the more options here. Flow logs, it's just log files, route table. So this subnet is connected. Okay, since route table is, we're talking about route table. If these are two subnets, right? If I go to the right side, keep going right. Yeah, it's 251 total IP addresses. And you can see this route table. It's pretty much the same ID of the route table. This means that if I go to the diagram, this same route table is connecting both subnets to each other, right? So that's how it is shown here. It's pretty much the same route table. If I go inside the route table temporarily, just to check between that. So this is the route table in the route tables. Left side is here, and once inside the route table, so you can see here routes, that it is this route table ultimately is connecting to, it's part of the VPC here, and subnet associations. So in subnet associations, it is showing down here that it's connected to these two subnets, public subnet and private subnet. So this one route table is connected to that. That's what I wanted to show. I'm going to go back to subnets. Now you can see that with all the do not touch subnets, there is this subnet as well. Okay, so here, what I wanted to check again was that network ACL. This is just to have access of any other AWS accounts here. Cider reservations, nothing much here. Sharing, share subnet. We resource share right? No, we don't need that. So yeah, they have removed that setting for public IP should be distributed. The DHCP related information about the public subnet and the DNS information on the subnet level. If you want to see that, I'm just gonna still go to actions. I'll keep it selected the public subnet, and I'll go to actions and view details or view details. Actually, I wanted to go to, but this is already there. I'm gonna go back here, and then I'm gonna go to edit settings, edit subnet settings, edit subnet settings. There you go. So auto sign IP settings, enable the auto sign IP settings to automatically request a public IP before. So I do want this subnet be distributing public IPs to whichever virtual machine that is there. And so by default, this setting is actually disabled. So this means that you create a subnet and you create any number of virtual machines, they're not going to get public IP unless you select this. Or on the machine level, if you select that, then they get that. But on the subnet level, like this. And other than that, resource-based name or RBN settings specify the host name type for EC2 instances in this subnet and optional. And so what kind of naming you want for the hosts? For now, we're just going to give our own machine names manually. No need to configure here.
What we are doing here, excuse me.
This is going to enable IP address distribution, public IP address distribution to any virtual machine that is here. So this subnet will do that. And if we don't check that, then the virtual machines here will not be getting a public IP from the subnet. So we want one subnet virtual machines to have a public IP, and we don't want other private subnet virtual machine to not have public IP. Public IP connects machine to internet. So we have selected that, but now we know that by default, this option is unchecked. Still, we're going to go to the other subnet and check it out. So this is checked for just the public subnet. And save. So I'll go for the private subnet. We know already that this by default it is unchecked, just to still see it. So actions and edit subnet settings for private subnet this time. Uncheck the public subnet checkbox, and then so yeah, it's unchecked. So we're sure that when the virtual machine is deployed, it will not get public IP in the private subnet. That's what we want. ONK. So I'll just cancel out from here. So public subnet will distribute public IP, private subnet will not distribute public IPs. That said, or that is done, we're gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna go to the diagram and VPC done, public subnet creation done, private subnet creation done, and that option is checked. That distribute public IP here. That option is unchecked. Distribute public IP in private subnet. So this much is done. We still have to create SGs, and we still have to create internet gateway, and we still have to create a route table. So what we need to do, and then we're gonna then we'll create at the end EC2 instances. So let's go for the internet gateway and create that. And then we're gonna create a route table and tell route table, hey route table, you're gonna be connecting to internet gateway, and you're gonna be connecting this VPC. Suppose you have 5 or 6 more VPCs, but you just want the VPC, this one, and maybe third VPC out of 5, suppose that those 2 only should have internet, others should not have internet, right? So that's the benefit of this. Now we're gonna go for internet gateway creation. How do we create that? Where do we go? So this is the VPC dashboard, right? If we keep going down there, so there is internet gateway. Well, there's a lot of other things. Okay. So internet gateways. Once we click the internet gateway here, Again, there's a do not touch gateway here. This is the VPC do not touch, but it's connected to the internet gateway that is also do not touch. I'm just gonna put here do not touch. It's better to be safe than sorry. If this gateway is deleted, so in the default VPC there will be no internet, right? That's why internet gateway, default internet gateway, we're not gonna touch that. And let's create our own internet gateway. You don't have to go through all these steps in Microsoft Azure with exactly the same lab. I'm going to click create internet gateway, and that would be, I forgot to put names in the previous subnets as well. So Amir dash in, so you can put your name obviously if you're on the internet gateway. Okay, so when I'm deleting I would know. So here, once you create that internet gateway, you can click create. If you want to add tags, yeah, it's okay. Otherwise, just create internet gateway. And this is right now detached. It needs to be attached to some VPC, right? So if we go to the diagram, this internet gateway does not know which VPC it is attached to. So we need to tell, hey, that's your buddy. This VPC is your buddy. So if we go back here, here actions, and it says attached to VPC. I'm going to click, and then we need to select the correct VPC. The other VPC, the default VPC is not showing here. Only just our VPC is showing because the other VPC is already attached to another internet gateway. This VPC will be attached to this VPC has not been attached to any internet gateway. That's why it's showing here. Select our VPC and attach internet gateway. I'll click that button. Okay, so internet gateway side of stuff is okay. You go back to the diagram. So yes, it knows that this VPC is my buddy now, but still the internet traffic needs to go through certain type of route table. It knows which VPC it's connected to. That doesn't mean that the traffic routing is also configured. That is a separate manual process. So we're going to go for the route table creation now. And once route table is created, we need to tell that, hey, this gateway you're connected to and this VPC you're connected to. Okay, so it's kind of a bridge. So I'm going to go back here to the route table, which is right above the internet gateway. And okay, so we got one route table already created, which is connected to our own VPC that we will be deleting later, but other route table is do not touch route table. So you know the drill now. Do not touch for the route table as well. Okay, so this is the one, and this is already attached. Okay, I can just put name here, connected to subnet 1 to public and private subnet. Right. Just to put some extra information, right? Now let's just create our own route table. So how do we do that? We go up to the right side, create route table, and it's gonna be, I'll just, I don't know if I should have put my name, but anyway. So we have to be just careful what we're deleting.
Route table 2.
Yes, but I'm just putting my name, which I forgot previously, so I could delete right away. Seeing that. And no, it's internet gateway, right? It's connecting the purpose. So it's internet GW who VPC. That's the purpose of this route table. So we see the route table, we understand right away what it's doing. And in a big company, it would be maybe hundreds of route tables will be there. So a meaningful name would be always helpful. If you have multiple internet gateways, then yes, internet gateway 2, internet gateway 3, route table 56, route table 42, etc., etc. And which VPC? The VPC 1. So here, now, put tags, it's okay, otherwise let's go ahead. It's not, the confusion is not here for, which, who to connect. So we're just going to click the create route table here. And now we need to configure the route table. If I switch to the diagram, so now the route table has to be told that on one side you're connecting to internet gateway, the other side you're connecting to the VPC1. So I'll go back here. So how do we tell the route table? We need to go to one is the edit routes.
We should have two route table.
Sorry again.
Should we have two route table?
This is the one. Yeah, we can always name it route 2, route table 2 as well. But these are the only two route tables we will have, and then we're gonna just delete the lab after some time. So I just put this name there just to give the information. If you are doing the lab, you can put route table 2 there. So here now we need to first tell the routes, and then we're going to go for subnet association. So route, it already knows, this route table already knows it's part of this VPC range, IP range, but we need to click the edit routes here and tell it extra information. So add route. In add route, we need to tell it that is there some device that you're connected to? That information will be actually here, the devices, internet gateway, and the IP range that is coming to this device, coming from this device is coming from anywhere. So here we're going to give 0000/0, right? That this traffic is coming from anywhere, right? Through what? Through internet gateway. Traffic is coming from anywhere through this internet gateway. And we have only one internet gateway. If we had multiple internet gateways, so they will all show up here, then you have to be very careful which one you are selecting. So that's the only internet gateway we have, and 000/0 and save changes. Right. So this is just the part here. This is just this part right now. That route table knows, oh, I'm connected to internet gateway. Okay. So we told one side of story to the route table. Save changes. Now we need to tell the other side of the story as well, or where, according to the diagram, now we need to tell the route table this side that you're also connected to this one as well. Okay. Okay. So here, subnet association, we're going to go for that. And so there is that subnet association already there, subnets without explicit associations. And with explicit subnet association, we can go with this. And it already shows the subnets that needs to be connected. This route table needs to be connected to. So which one are we connecting this route table to? Public subnet. Because public subnet is, according to the diagram, is receiving traffic from the internet. Okay? So public subnet is receiving traffic from internet, VPC, and then public subnet, right? That's why is going to be this. So this is the only subnet that this route table should be connected to because it's just sending internet traffic. The subnet cannot have internet traffic. So save associations. Okay, so now this route table, which is internet gateway to VPC, right? Internet gateway to VPC. So yes, that's what we done here. Route says internet gateway here, IGW to subnet. VPC association already was there when we create the route table inside the VPC, but it's a subnet that we need to associate it. So that is also done. And now we have two route tables. One route table connected to public and private subnet. The other route table is internet gateway to VPC. So then we get to know, okay, that's how it's going on. Now we go for the next one, which is we need to define security group for the two subnets. It's going to be a little different. So what's the difference here? Why security groups will be different? So for public subnet, SG is receiving traffic from internet from anywhere, while for private subnet, SG is receiving traffic from public subnet only. So because it has just private IPs, it can only connect to any other directly connected private IP based virtual machine. So it will be, it has just communication from here to there, right? And here to here. So that's the only way it can communicate. For this private subnet, this is the word, and it cannot connect with anything else. But suppose both are private subnet. Suppose both are private subnet, then you need a VPN tunnel to really connect from your laptop or from outside with only private IP to the private subnet, whichever machine has private IP. And the other way is VPN. Okay, so we need to define the SGs now. Two SGs. So public SG and private SG. I'm just going to go back to this. And now I'm going to go for SGs.
नींद
Yeah.
सकता इसके लिए चाय चाहिए.
Oh, आपकी आवाज I can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
So here, yeah. So SGs. Yes, there is SG here as well. The security group. And there is SG available in EC2 instances as and well. So I'm going to just, there's another tab here. I was going to open a duplicate tab. There's another tab. I'm going to go to EC2 dashboard just to show that there is security group in EC2 dashboard as well. So this is the EC2 dashboard, EC2, and this is the VPC dashboard, right? So EC2 has 4 SGs, and the same SGs are showing here. So this means that from within VPC, we also have access to the security groups that will, help us 3 and 8. Where it go? SG rule groups, domain lists, firewall rule. kidding me? Oh, lost the security groups here.
So,
Uh,
so we create
oh,
an internet gateway and route table, and then subnet association.
yes.
So after
Oh,
subnet association, we are linked now.
so after subnet association, internet is now available for this public subnet.
Okay.
We will know that when we create the EC2 instance and log into it.
And how about
Okay.
two?
No, two, we don't want to give internet. That's why two doesn't have internet. Private subnet.
So here
Private
we
subnet.
define only route table.
Yeah, here we define only right router. Okay, so here now let us go for security groups here, and there are default security groups, and there are two other security groups as well. I'm gonna go ahead and create the public security group and private security group. So create security group, and this will be Amir dash public security group, and that would be, I'll just copy paste that. So the next security group could be this same explanation, description, also same public security group. Inbound rules is what we need to configure. The inbound rules is pretty simple for this one. According to the diagram, it's just accepting traffic from anywhere in the internet. So I'll just go for add rule, and this is RDP. So RDP. This is RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, 3389 port, TCP, and then it is just accepting traffic from anywhere IPv4. That's it. So inbound rule for public subnet is already defined. And now I'm just going to create that security group called Armor Public Security Group, and click create, say queue, read, and grow. I'm going to go for another security group. So I'm just going to click here again to go back to the dashboard, and then that's a security group here. While we are here, I'm just going to give it a name, which is already I copied. So it's always very clear what is what. And then I'm going to create private, our private security group. So I'll click create security group again, and I'll change this to private security group, control A, control C, control V, inbound rules. So here we need to be careful. So here we are defining, yes, it will be RDP traffic, RDP or Remote Desktop Protocol 3389. But this time, according to the diagram, this subnet is only accepting traffic from this subnet. That's it. Nothing else. So that's what we need to define here. So we're going to go for custom, which is already written here. Then the IP range of the public subnet, which is actually already showing here. Public security. Oh, this is not a public subnet, right? Yeah, it's SG, not okay. So it's 10.0.0.0/24. So it's this private subnet is only accepting traffic from this IP range, which is the IP range of the public subnet. And here we can just say only accepting traffic public subnet. So the more
Or we can
information
say
always the better.
VPC 1, only
No.
accepting, sorry, subnet 1.
But the subnet one, we didn't name it subnet one, right? We named public subnet. So if we have named it subnet one, subnet two, then we can mention that here as well. Cool. So Here, RDP 339, and yeah, done. So ENROLL is done, and hopefully we understand that. And let's click create security group. Now the two SGs or security groups have been defined as well. So this security group allows this subnet to receive traffic from internet, and this security group allows this whole subnet to receive traffic only from this public subnet. O and K. Now we are going to create EC2 instance for public subnet, and we have to be careful there. We need to connect it to the correct VPC, correct subnet, and correct security group. Then private subnet, connect to the correct VPC, correct subnet, and correct security group. So first, the public IP instance. I'll go for the EC2 instance. So EC2 dashboard is on the other tab, already available. And EC2 here. Well, that's the EC2 dashboard. I know EC2. Click instances. We've been creating a lot of instances till now. So let's click launch instance here and be very, very careful. So we're just going to name it so we could understand properly. So public VM dash VPC dash 1, and then the same, or I'll just put it here in Notepad so I could get later. Windows, and this virtual machine is to micro, yes, and the key pair I have for today in my downloads folder. And yeah, this is where I need to be very, very careful. Network settings. So I'm just going to click edit. And in the edit, this machine is going inside VPC1. In VPC1, we have two subnets here. One is public subnet, that is private, so it's already connected to the correct subnet. Also, yes, auto-assign public IP is also enabled for this. And SG, so create security group. Well, SG we already have, so I'm just going to select existing security group. We created for that purpose. And okay, no, it's not compare security group rules. It's not
You need to
showing
create
here. This
one,
means
right?
that create them, but it may be in a different availability zone, I guess. So I'm just gonna go ahead another tab here and check the security groups right and away. So which dashboard am I in? I'll be going to all services, and then I'll go to VPC. Oh, VPC is not okay. Here's VPC, and I'll put it here. I could future accesses and security groups. And yeah, I didn't even name that other one, but why are they not showing? I'll just check.
Go down.
This is this.
No, scroll down so might appear this.
You have to first click and then it shows. Is it in a separate availability zone? That's why it's not showing. Or
Drag it down on the top screen so it might show the other lines. The Amir public security, if you get dragged down a little bit,
yeah. So that's it. That's it. Okay. So VPC is this 3417D, which is, so where's the do not touch VPC? VPC ID is 3. Yeah, do not touch is this one, right? Yeah, default is this one. This is mine. Yeah, it's the correct VPC is there. Reachability analyzer.
Do we need to make a private another security group? Public?
No, we can
Sorry.
create as many. Yeah, we can create as many security groups. It's just that why this is not showing. We're investigating this. What permission? Public security of security is weird. I do remember that when we were creating security groups from EC2 dashboard, yes, they were showing there. And when we were creating the security group from, they look the same, but from the VPC dashboard, there were some issues. So I'm just going to go back to this VPC. Okay, VPC is ours. Subnet is public subnet VPC1. And enable existing security group. Okay, refresh. Oh, seriously. But it's showing the wrong VPC here. Suppose I go for that. That's not what I wanted. Okay.
It
VPC,
should
yeah,
be
correct VPC is there.
VPC1, right?
Yes. It's select security groups is very weird. It's not okay. Compare security group rules. There is nothing here. Launch an instance. I'll just go one more time, then I will have to create a new one. One permission incidentally. Maybe it's the permission. And, yeah, everything seems okay. Outbound tags. Nothing much in the VPC. Actions. Okay, let's go there. Details. Edit outbound rules. Edit inbound rules. Manage. Copy to new security group. Delete security group. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. I manage date rules, edit inbound rules. Not much here other than just defining the rules itself, and does not offer anything related to connecting it to the correct subnet or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is instead of wasting time, it's still very straightforward configuration. I'll just go for creating a security group for this virtual machine, create security group. And this security group is, okay, now I'm just giving another one. So it's pub sub,
It should be private, right?
no, one security group for public subnet and one for private. So this is a public virtual machine that I'm creating right now, a public VM. So the security group will be public as well.
So we already created the public sub.
Yeah, it's not showing. That's fine. So if it was showing, I would not create this. So it's
We are
making
creating
me
another
do this.
EC2.
This is the first EC2 I'm creating, but the security group is not showing inside. So RDP, TCP, T389, and coming from anywhere. Yeah, so this is all set up as well. Pub subs SG, new name I've given. We're good. Add a secure rule. The rule is also added. Configure storage is good. Nothing to do in advanced details.
Just a minimum, take
Excuse
a
me.
minimum one.
Nothing here. Yeah, that's it. So just making sure it's the correct VPC, yes, and correct subnet. Okay, good. And it is accepting auto-sign IP, launch instance. I'll go for the next one now. And there's instances, and then I'll go for the next instance, launch instance here, public VM VPC1. Okay, so I'll just do that.
VPC2.
And wait, naming convention should be familiar. VPC1, VM VPC1, and it's Windows 22, yeah, done. T2 micro, done. Key pair, same. And network settings, edit. So it's my other VPC, and subnet is private now. This is private subnet. And yeah, as soon as I switch to private subnet, it detects the setting there that auto assign public IP was disabled in private subnet or unchecked. So it changes that here as well automatically, which is good. And then we go for create security group here. And that was pub sub SG. This will be priv subnet SG. So this similar naming convention here as well. And this one is getting IP from not anywhere. It will be getting it from custom range, which is and 0.0.0/24. So now it should be all a-okay. And yeah, the storage is okay, nothing is at once. So just double checking again. Pref sub G and PUBG. Subnet, private subnet. Yep, we're good. Should be good. All right. So launch instance.
So
Okay.
we
Yep.
create a security group here, right?
Yep.
And what
Those
else
were
we
the
made
X
a
column.
changes?
Sorry, again.
What other changes we made it here?
No, we created the same configurations in both security groups. It's just that now they are showing here. It's pretty much the same configurations from that we did on the previous security groups, and they were not showing here. The same. Just two extra security groups are shown will be now created. ONK instances. We got two here instances and our moment of truth. So here, when we try to connect, now I'm going to try to connect from this machine first. I should be able to connect if the internet gateway, route table configurations are all okay. I should be connected to this. And from this, I'm going to launch remote desktop. I need to know the private IP and administrator username password for this machine so I could launch an RDP connection to this machine from this machine, right? So let us go to this machine first. And here, that's the public VM. Connect. And RDP client. Connect to RDP. And download. Let's download it here. The drill, get password, upload this, double click this, decrypt this. Now the public IP is showing there, so I'll just try to get information about this. So it's this is the public VM setting administrator and IP, and we go for now we need more information here. So private VM VPC1. So we will get that information later and put here as well. So I need to just simply make a connection now. And fresh public VM PC, double click that. Go and connect. Okay, connect and ONK. Yes. Okay, that's good. So our internet gateway route table configurations are okay. Okay, now we need to make a connection with the help of our private IP to the virtual machine in the other subnet, which will also prove that there routing enabled between the two subnets. So if I go back to the diagram here, we're here, and now we need to launch RDP connection from here only with the private IP and connect this machine. So I'll go ahead and grab information of the other machine, the administrator information, get information. So private VM connect RDP. We don't need to download. Why? Because it's just a private IP from my machine over the internet. I won't be able to connect to that machine. I just need the IP and other credentials. Oh, okay. First, let me just get password. De-encrypt. So, okay. So this is the information for my private VM, and I don't know why I'm copying administrator. That's the account. Okay. So we're ready for connecting from the. If I go to the diagram. We're inside that machine. We're going to launch an RDP connection that should let us go inside this machine. I'm going to go inside that machine, and I have to launch an RDP connection from here. So you can see that the subnet is 00050. So MSTSC. So that is Microsoft Terminal Services Console, which puts up remote desktop connection, or simply just put remote desktop and it's gonna just pop this one. And now I need the information of I made the window smaller, and this is inside of the machine there, and this is the information about the other one. So this is the IP that I want to reach, and that's the username password for that. The connectivity is already there, as we know that it's the route table. So it is asking for, when it asks for username password, that's always a good sign. Administrator. And the password. Okay, that's good news. I'm just going to expand that. And from we're already in the machine and we're connecting to another machine now. And that's purely on private IP address.
So
So
we
I
are
will just,
on a public subnet. From public to private, you are connecting.
so from public subnet to private subnet, yes, from a public machine to a private machine we're connecting. So this is the private IP based machine from this public IP based machine, which also has its own private IP. So this machine is now loading here. That's the public machine with this IP information, and now the private machine is loading. And that is yay. So it is showing the windows, and if I go to this, it's still loading, I guess. So uh, so this option says that do you want this machine to be discoverable on the network? I say yes, just on the private network. So yeah, this is the IP information of the other machine. So the previous public machine 10.0.0.50 and this is 10.0.170. So subnets are different, and this is on other availabilities on 1B. This is on other availabilities on 1A. Right. So that's pretty cool. This machine has a public IP as well, but this machine only has a private IP, no public IP here. So that's good. It's all the confusions are okay. My suggestion is to do the lab with two extra subnets, create two extra subnets. Like suppose when you're repeating this lab. So well, peering is a bit longer topic, so we're gonna be doing that too. But so you can create within one VPC two extra subnets, and then go for just this. This is connecting to this, right? So connect this to this subnet 3, and this connect this to subnet 4. Then make a connection from one public instance, and they should all be private subnets. So that was private subnet 1. You can, when you're practicing, so go for private subnet 2, which is this, and private subnet 3, and just create a VM with a private IP only in this one, and then so all three should be subnets, but try to connect from there to this one. And when you create a subnet, obviously routing table will be available, but you can always make sure that this one routing table is not connecting this private subnet 2 to the public subnet. So you can always remove the routing subnet association from there. Right? And also this one is not connecting to this and this. So you can always remove subnet association from any route table, just like we created. But you can just make this lab even more interesting. And this subnet can only connect to this one, this subnet can only connect to this one, and this subnet can only connect to this one. So you can expand your network and try to get more familiarity with this whole concept.
As private subnet, we can go to private subnet 2.
From private subnet to private subnet 2, yes. If when the routing table is defining that, yes.
So we have to create another route table. I mean route table 3.
Yes, exactly. You have to create this route table which only, or the route, yeah, you have to create a new route table that only connects this private subnet 1, suppose, to the private subnet 2. Then you have to create another route table that only connects this private subnet 2 to only private subnet 3. And you have to make sure that if there was a route table that was already connecting this to this and this, so 3 subnet associations you have to remove as well.
We have
Then your traffic flow will be good.
So subnet association should be removed, like we already made.
Yes.
So if I'm connecting from private subnet to private subnet 2, I would make a new subnet association and
You
remove
would
the
make a
last
new
one.
you would make a new route table and then make subnet association. So this route table will be told that, okay, you're associated to this and this only. That's it. No one else, right? And then you will make another route table here, and you would tell it that you are connected to this guy and this guy only, no one else.
The
All route
private
tables are
association we will remove, right?
clear.
The last association.
Yeah. So the association between this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy needs to be removed, and this guy, this guy. Oh, this guy is good because we will be doing that. But this is just to show the traffic flow. You can control whole traffic flow yourself.
Okay.
ONK. So guys, this was the lab for the VPC, the first lab. And then there is another lab, but that the peering connection is the concept that we need to discuss in detail, and it's kind of a long concept as well. So what we can do is that now we're going to start deleting everything, and that's going to just reach our time to finish. So we're going to continue with the peering lab, and then VPN labs, and they're going to explore all these, well, in the VPC, all these options as well. So right now, we're just going to wrap it up, and I'll just start deleting stuff. That's going to be taking time as well. So I'll just simply start with deleting these two machines.
Excuse me, so
Yep.
I'm trying to compare this. So in Azure, we don't have to
Mhm.
create route table for different
Exactly.
subnets to communicate.
No,
Yeah.
no, we don't need to create that. We don't need to create Internet Gateway in
Internet
Azure. We
gateway.
don't need
Yeah.
to create a route table. Internet is already there. Here in AWS, it's too flexible. Everything is flexible. We can even delete the whole our own default environment. Not this one. This we created ourselves. The
Mhm.
default one that we are playing inside, we can delete that. In Azure, we cannot do that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so okay, guys. So I'm going to start deleting stuff, and I have to go to a lot of areas now. Make sure that, and we have to be careful when we're deleting that. If default is gone, then you have to talk to support, and it takes like 1 business days to get your environment, running environment back up again, right? So okay, so that's the two machines instances. I'll just start with the terminate instances, and this is an EC2 dashboard. While this is going on, I'm going to go for VPC, and okay, VPC, and I need to start deleting stuff. So Internet Gateway, very, very careful. Just the gateway that I created, I'll try to delete. Some of the things are, it's just detached first. Yeah, it says, please unmap those public IP addresses before detaching the gateway. So uh, if I go to the IP addresses, that was actually in EC2 instances. So that's why better to wait for the two instances to be terminated. But in the EC2 area, there are elastic IPs. Okay, gone already. So instances get deleted, then yeah, terminated. Okay, now we should be good. Or I'll go for Internet Gateway again. If we don't get to detach that, then first we're gonna go for the other things. So detach Internet Gateway. Oh, now it's gone. Okay, cool. Machines are gone, then this is good. Hatched, that's not enough. I'll just select that again, and now we delete the Internet Gateway. And yeah, just type delete, the correct one. Okay. So then route tables. The route tables here, then do not touch. I'll just try to delete route table. Yeah, route tables have associations cannot be deleted. You cannot delete it. The following route tables contain one or more associations. So you have to delete the subnet, and then it will be deleted. So I'll just go for subnets to which they are associated. Okay, yeah, that will do. This is right. Delete. Okay, that's are gone. And I'll go back to route tables. They are good. They should be good now. Delete route table. Now it says delete. Okay. Refresh. Oh, this one actually says its association was with the The following route tables or main route tables cannot be deleted until those route tables are set as non-main route table. And connect to public and private subnet. These are main route table. They should be non-main. Oh, never heard of the term non-main before. Okay. So this routing has a route defined here, which actually internet gateway is gone, so the route is gone. Subnet associations are gone as well. So how is this our main route? Okay, can we unmain it? Let's try route, edit routes, delete route table. Are you kidding me? Calling route tables are main route tables.
Once
No,
you
you're
delete the
not main.
VPC, it's gone.
Yeah, you're right. PC. That was remaining. Oh, okay. Delete. Oh man. One more thing I forgot to tell. When you delete a VPC, and it actually deletes subnets, route tables, internet gateway, it deletes for you everything. Now I remember this. So, okay. Anyway, when you're doing the lab, try it. Don't go for the gateway, route table, subnet like I did. Just delete VPC. It just deletes simply everything attached to it. Oh man. Okay. Because we're going to be creating next next class, two VPCs. So then we'll do that. I remember that. So delete.
Does it delete the VMs as well?
All the networking side deletes, but not VMs.
Okay.
But do try this. Maybe they've added that feature. So don't delete anything. Just delete the VPC and see what gets deleted. It gives a pretty long list, and normally they are this dashboard related. Okay, so if I go to subnets, no, okay, fine. So yeah, everything gone. Okay, we're good now. I'll just go to the EC2 instance, and the two instances are terminated. And what could be remaining? Volumes, yep, gone. Snapshots just to check, and then SGs are not gonna cost us, but network interface cards will. They're gone. Now we're good. We're good. Okay. So yeah, that's it, guys. And let's connect in. This weekdays class. Many times I have to stay connected. So it's kind of 50-50. But with the weekend class, yeah, definitely we're gonna try to go more faster. But I'll try to connect. I'll let you know if I'm available on weekend class. Weekdays class, sorry, the Tuesday one. Okay, guys. So have a nice weekend and see you next week. Or
Okay, you too.
I'll let you know weekend.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.